In November of 2021, shortly before Gorbachev II came to power, a movie-based podcast surfaced just north of Dunlap, Indiana. It then sank in ratings and views, suffering from a recording problem. Unconfirmed reports indicated some of the podcast tracks were rescued. But according to repeated statements by both Soviet and American governments, nothing of what you're about to see was ever recorded. This is spoilers.
That was amazing. Now, this is a Tom Clancy podcast right here.
What's up, guys? That was actually a pretty easy spoiler to come up with because the movie gave it to me, and I just replaced it with stuff that we know besides Gorbachev 2. So
good for you.
Very easy spoiler. Let's just start off by saying where we're recording from and what was my question? Oh, favorite spy movie. So let's just go west to east.
This is Korey, Kylo Ren Memes, recording out of Simi Valley, California. I kind of wish I had more than a moment's notice to think of this.
Sorry.
For some reason, all I could think of is Austin Powers. And that's definitely not my favorite spy movie, but it's a movie I watched a lot in my life. And the sequel as well. I think by the time the third one came out, it was like getting a little samey. I grew up on Bond movies as well, though, so there were a lot of those I liked. Namely, like this stupid Roger Moore Bond. I don't know if you guys are like James Bond connoisseurs in any kind of way, but like the Roger Moore era of James Bond got like pretty campy. And one of the campy Roger Moore movies that I liked was The Man with the Golden Gun, which is the one with Christopher Lee. And it also has Nick Nack, the little guy. And I don't know. I like some Bond movies. GoldenEye's a classic. Obviously, I'm a kid of the 90s. That's one of the best, actually the best Brosnan Bond movie. So I don't know. Those are just some that come to the top of my head. Maybe not my favorites, but that's what I got for you, Mikey.
Nice. I like those picks that you had. And Austin Powers out of left field. That's very funny.
Yeah, baby.
Pap, I don't know if it's you. It's probably you.
I'm traditionally second Weestus. This is Pappy, recording from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Not a fan of James Bond. I think I've told the story before. I puked in the back of a van watching James Bond on a tiny little screen one time, and I've never been able to go back to it. But favorite spy movie, Spy Kids 2, by far. Got the finger guys walking around. I don't know. Great movie. Saw it in theaters with my mom. Good times.
Aren't they like thumbs?
Whatever. Yeah, we're doing Spy Kids soon.
Is that the one with the amusement park?
I believe so.
I hate those movies so much. They are awful to look at.
Robert Rodriguez, come on.
He's made some bad ones, man.
I cannot stand it.
Yeah, that's right. We're doing a podcast on that. I forgot. Yes. Beautiful.
So can't wait for that. Also, The Manchurian Candidate. Good spy movie, too.
The original or the remake?
Original. Never seen the remake.
It's good.
Like the original. Check it out sometime. But those two.
This is Josh from Goshen. I think I'm up. Is that right, Mikey? Did I step on?
Go for it.
Have at
Okay.
it.
Well, you're not technically next Weestus, so
I'm not.
Does Weestus
Go for it, Josh.
even mean anything anymore?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, boy. Okay, so, I don't know. Austin Powers. It's a hilarious answer for this. But, like, when people talk about spy movies, I do think about Bond movies, the old ones, and Austin Powers, a lot like Korey. But I think for this answer, I'll throw out a Brother Jordan favorite, The Departed. I think that is
Spy Cops.
Yeah, I like the ending of The Departed. It's not like my favorite film of all time, but I do like how they portray like being a spy and being like deeply embedded.
They're spies?
There's some spying going on.
Aren't they informants and they moles? And I mean, do you have to?
Josh, do you like the rat face aspect of that movie? You know, the Jack Nicholson doing the rat face. That's like all I remember from the Departed podcast.
No more dead cops.
I hear your complaint. Is it a spy movie? I think they're spying on each other, like the police and the gangs are spying on each other, but does a spy movie imply that it has to have like international intrigue or something?
It requires a tuxedo at some point.
Okay.
Is this a spy movie? On for Red October?
Jack Ryan's considered a spy in other movies. I don't know what he's considered in this movie.
He's an analyst.
Yeah, he writes books, I guess. I'll go next. I put Mission Impossible Fallout.
Damn it.
So the newest one. It's an amazing action movie. Stevie, tell him why.
Well, I mean, the trailer was always fun when they had James, what is it, Cavill?
Henry.
Oh, Henry Cavill, pretty much just like cocking his arms like guns. I think that was like one of the coolest parts in any trailer I've ever seen. But yeah, that movie is just amazing on so many levels. So many twists and turns. Tom Cruise does wear a tux. And the scene where they jump from a plane and like the camera is moving with them is incredible. So yeah, that would have been my pick too, Mikey.
Another Alec Baldwin movie.
He's great at spy movies.
Oh yeah, he is in that, isn't he? Is that everybody? Yes, because Josh went out of order. Thanks, Josh.
Jeez.
I'm just kidding. So, like you just heard in my spoiler, we get a cool intro with some old school radar technology that gives us that text on screen that looks really cool, and it's telling us about this mysterious submarine. We see Sean Connery and Sam Neill have a conversation in Russian, just sitting at the top of a sub saying, "It's time." And then we get a great title card. It's really awesome. I don't even know why, but I just like everything about this movie.
The music kills it in that scene. The music is so
Yeah.
good. The Russian, like, singing choir
Russian
voice.
military stuff. Yeah, it's pretty prevalent throughout a lot of the movie, and it's really intimidating. It's really good.
It's a cold day.
Yeah.
It's a hard day.
And then next we see the protagonist, Jack Ryan, who's played by Alec Baldwin, and he has got some of the darkest and most luxurious hair that has ever been captured on film. And he's in a real big hurry. Josh, you rigged last week's trivia for me. Where is this man headed in such a hurry?
You really did.
I knew it.
Where is he headed at the beginning, Mikey? Give me a hint. This movie is a lot of ins and outs, bro.
He's going to the CIA. He's going to Langley.
Yeah, so we meet Alec Baldwin, and he's got, like, his little daughter, and they pull at your heartstrings. And this actually bookends the movie, Mikey, is that the daughter wants a little brother for her teddy bear, since she realizes since her dad does really dangerous shit, she probably shouldn't have a real brother, is how I take it. But yeah, Alec Baldwin... He's young here. He's got good hair. You see his family life for like just a snippet, and then he's kind of like off to the office, right?
Yeah, they're not important. They don't mean anything to him.
His wife is Gates McFadden. She is Dr. Beverly Crusher on Star Trek The Next Generation. I got to make the Star Trek reference. It was really nice seeing her, even for the one moment she was in the movie. I love that actress. She's awesome.
Jack, you're going to miss the plane.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of people in this movie, just playing a lot of smaller roles too. So, not surprised that there's just stacked top to bottom.
Yeah, it's a stacked cast, man.
Mm-hmm. Jack flies to Langley, and he has to teach a flight attendant about turbulence. I don't know why that conversation happens. It's really weird.
He mansplains turbulence to her for sure.
She like just doesn't know what it is for some reason.
The sun, it's a star in our solar system. It heats the Earth.
And then he meets with James Earl Jones, Darth Vader. He tells him about the secret sub, or Jack tells James Earl Jones about the secret sub, and it's quote unquote weird doors, which are apparently caterpillar drives. And he shows him top secret pics from what appears to be a PlayStation 1 video game. It's just very large black and white blurry pictures.
Yeah, didn't Tom Clancy also bring us some of those too?
What do you mean?
Like video games. When I think of Tom Clancy,
yeah.
it's like
Splinter
Rainbow
Cell.
Six.
Yeah, they're all pretty garbage now, but he has some good ones. Splinter Cell's a pretty good one. And then Jack Ryan and James Earl Jones agree to call up a retired sub pilot or a retired sub engineer to just get some help on what's happening with these pictures.
Jeffrey Jones, not just any retired sub pilot.
Oh, this has got a problematic cast.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about Jeffrey Jones.
Isn't he the guy that got in trouble for,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll leave it at that.
Did anybody catch where they got those pictures from? There's like 2 pictures that they like pulling all this information from in the Caterpillar drives, and I thought that maybe a character would come into play at some point. Did I miss something? Or
They said it was British intelligence, I think. Which is
I can't remember.
Jack Ryan's in London, so I think it's just how it gets started. It's pretty a throwaway line, just kind of yada yada.
Okay.
We know about this thing now.
fair enough.
Yeah, the Royal Navy apparently is like way more prevalent in the book version of this. Now, I haven't read the book, but I've watched some content related to the book, and that's all the mention they get in this movie. But yeah, they're more heavily involved in the book.
So meanwhile, Sean Connery, who's playing Captain Marko Ramius, is getting his plans in order and dealing with a possible hitch in his plan. Pap, who's waiting for him in his cabin, and like, what's his deal? Why is he so important?
It's the political officer, and if there's one thing that we learned from Death of Stalin is you got to watch out for political officers from the USSR. I think this is also the moment, if I'm remembering correctly, where the language switch happens.
Yes.
Yep.
This is like one of my favorite edits in this movie.
Все, иду как тац, блажен, бодрствующий и хранящий одежду свою. И он собрал их на место, называемое по-еврейски Армагеддон. And the 7th angel poured forth his bowl into the air, and a voice cried out from heaven, saying, "It is done."
I'm of 2 minds of it. I love it, but if you hated the language switch and thought it was dumb, I would also completely understand, because it's like a really creative. Go ahead.
I think we're testing the limits of the amount of Russian Sean Connery can actually speak. So we got to get out of there.
That's the thing. It's like this really creative, brilliant solution to a self-inflicted wound and problem. Because by casting Sean Connery, it's like you could have cast anybody for this role, but since you cast Sean Connery, now you have to have this like really creative edit. Josh, you're an editor. How do you feel about the language switch cut?
I think that the self-inflicted wound wasn't even necessarily casting Sean Connery, but to have them start off talking Russian, like that drives your expectation. Like, oh man, this is going to be weird to hear Sean Connery in a different language for a whole film. And then
I think that's necessary.
It's so blatant when they switch over and never go back. Like, there's no logic to it. So just take it away, Stevie. That's kind of my
There's a ton of logic to it. Otherwise, it's literally just Sean Connery in a sub.
And they have to make sure that like it's implied that Jack knows Russian at the end, because that's how he understands what he's saying in the sub. I don't know, because they're talking in Russian.
It is literally just Sean Connery in a sub.
I know, but like by having like the Russian like choir along with Sam Neill and Sean Connery speaking Russian and keeping that up for a little bit really embeds you in the idea that like, okay, we're like full blown Russian at this point. And the switchover almost feels natural, like, okay, you've got this figured out, let's go from here. I think that was necessary.
And they pivot really well on the word Armageddon, right, which is the same in both languages. So, I mean, a lot of thought went into it, and I do love Sean Connery in this movie. It's just, I wouldn't want to see this in any other movie ever again. It's like, you pulled it off here, but don't do this ever again.
You know what movie you get that kind of transition in? And it actually does happen in the movie Battlefield Earth.
Oh, future spoilers pick.
Indeed. Yeah, the Cylon, the John Travolta alien, does a shift much like in this movie, but it's way more goofy and hilarious in Battlefield Earth for many, many reasons.
Back to that political officer scene. Sean Connery snaps his neck, and his gurgling on the ground is so funny to me. It's just like really intense. Like I don't know like how this plan was going to work, because they call him the doctor right away and he's burning papers, and you would think a I don't know, karate neck move would be different than slipping on the ground, but
Why is it funny to you, Pap? Is it the guy's face?
it's his face and the gurgling and the spit.
He's making a
it's,
weird
it's
face.
very intense. Like maybe that's just my reaction to it because it's like you don't usually see someone like gurgling and Sean Connery takes his pulse or whatever. He's like, "Yep, not dead yet, I see," because he's still spitting up. But I don't know. I like that scene. I thought it was cool.
It sets a weird tone because I believe that's the only. Oh no, Sam Neill dies later, but it sets a tone that like people might die crazy deaths throughout this, and that's not really the route the movie takes.
I think it also really tells us that, like, Sean Connery is up to something. His character, Ramius, right? We don't know a lot about him at this point, but it's clear that he's going to do something, and I think we're led to believe, like, he's more on the shady side. Like, this guy might be an enemy of America, and he might be coming for us.
Yeah, like maybe he's going rogue and he wants to start a war on his own.
Maybe he's Dr. Strangelove. Maybe he's that guy from The Rock. Like,
Well, the movie wants to trick us into that, but like Stevie, I have a plot question for you. This might be a Stevie question. Why does Sean Connery not just give the second key to like the doctor? Like, why does he need to keep both keys? Because it tricks us, the audience, but it doesn't seem like it would fit with his
Because the
plan.
doctor's not a part of
But
it.
why? But it's just the launch keys, right? Why does he need
Right.
both keys?
I think it's the idea to like tell the viewer that whatever he's up to, the doctor is not a part of. I think it's kind of to try to like further embolden the idea that like on screen, like on paper, you know, Sam Neill and Sean Connery are part of the same team. We know that from the very beginning. We know that maybe there's some other people, but we know that that Sam Neill and Sean Connery are at the top. When the doctor comes in, we even get a second scene about it. He is not a part of whatever is going on. So I think it's just kind of the idea that, like, you know, why would he give that key to the doctor when he give it to one of his teammates and cause like a bigger feud? So he's just going to keep it.
Tim Curry, the doctor, by the way.
Yeah.
isn't it also just a power play?
Well, it's kind of like the same thing with the murder. Who's going to question him? I mean, this is
Exactly.
Mother Russia at this point. This is. Are you questioning me? I'll fill that out in my report.
But yeah, like in that safe, I guess it was just telling them to move, change positions or something, and that was obviously not Sean Connery's intended plan. So he had to kill that PO, and they're obviously not following those orders. And so I think at this time as well, Jack is like meeting his friend, the engineer, who's telling him about this caterpillar drive powering the sub. Turns out it's a super advanced stealth sub, super quiet. It's like Metal Gear and can shoot nukes from anywhere, and nobody would even know. And it's just going to start world wars, apparently, and that's a huge deal because the U.S. has like nothing to counter it and like nothing to find it. So it would be a really big advantage for Russia at the time.
You gotta love Cold War logic. It's like, well, you need a first attack sub, we need a first attack sub in that case.
The thing about the Cold War is it's really interesting. So like, I don't know how to explain it, but all of just the spy games, just the unnecessary tension of who's got what, and I don't know. It's just all very fascinating, and it's like all so secretive, and I don't know. It's just like a great backdrop for this movie. I've never really known too much about the Cold War, but it's pretty fascinating. So I was going to ask Brett this, but I was going to ask him, what does the captain do that shocks the doctor? And then we explain that it's basically two guys, two keys, says Tim Curry. And Ramius is like, I'm going to forget that comment. And Stevie, you and I are cut from the same musical cloth. For a lot of the audience out there, they don't know that we were in our high school's version of Glee.
We really were.
Wow.
We really
How
were.
good are these? How good are these sailors harmonizing on the
Bro,
sub?
straight tenors. I mean, these guys were like recruited to sing like this. Are you talking about like when they were singing the national anthem?
Yeah,
First off,
they're getting it.
like this movie came out in like 1990. This is like barely, after the, Berlin Wall just fell, barely after the Cold War. And like the idea of, I mean, I kind of love the Russian national anthem playing during this scene. It kind of gets me hyped. I don't know why. I mean,
They're at like 45 degrees going straight up or something. Just everybody's bellowing this national anthem. That's super scary.
I mean, they snuck past the ship, and they're like, "All right, it's go time. We're going to be so quiet that we can sing the national anthem in perfect pitch, with everyone nailing every word, and they won't even hear us."
This is where the movie is the most interesting to me, because that scene, like a lot of scenes, is a little outlandish, a little Michael Bay-ish, if you like start to think about the logic of it. But like, it's really cool when Jonesy is like, he's the audio expert, and he's like listening through all this depth of water, and he hears what only he could interpret as like voices on the waves. And that's like kind of the stuff that myths are made of, and I love that part of the movie.
Josh, I have a question. How is this? I mean, I'm just curious. How is the scene where they're doing the Russian national anthem Michael Bay-ish?
I mean,
is it staunch Pornian, or?
I mean, obviously Michael Bay would have all the Americans lined up singing it in perfect unison, but it's the same idea. Like, that's not, you know, I don't think that's really happening on a sub the first time they go silent. Like, they got shit to do. This is the first time they've run this drill. You know what I mean? It's just a little fantastical to think all these grown men stop to, and they love Russia that much. I don't know.
They do.
I think this movie is a little Michael Bay-ish in just like the military angle of it. Like, it's very pro-military in the same way that a Michael Bay movie is. I got some vibes of that myself.
With 99% less guns.
Oh, well, that's for sure, yeah.
The fact that they would be singing on this sub and Jonesy would be able to hear it, that's like, that would be insane. That technology would be absolutely crazy. So that part is just a little fantastical for sure. I don't know if Michael Bay is inventive enough to think of that. He's got other stupid inventions that he's created for his movies.
I just love the Jonesy audiophile angle of this movie. I think that's really cool, and
yeah, he's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like to see stuff like that.
Captain. Sir, the moment that sub went silent and I thought I heard some singing, I heard something in the background, real faint. And then, after all those subs took off, I caught it again, and I managed to get it on tape. I washed it through the computer a few times, and I was able to isolate this sound. When I asked the computer to identify it, what I got was magma displacement. See, sir, the SAP's software was originally written to look for seismic events. And I think when it gets confused, it kind of runs home to mama.
I'm not following you, Jonesy.
Sir, I'm sorry. Listen to it at 10 times speed. Now that's gotta be man-made, Captain.
So the U.S. guys are like super confused because, like we said, Jonesy's like, what's going on here? And then Jack has to bring this information to the Joint Chiefs, which is pretty intimidating because he's just, I think he says he just writes books or something for the CIA. He doesn't really do this type of thing, and he's just kind of wrapped up in the middle of it. And he has to report about these subs, and he has this theory that Ramius is going to defect. I don't know how he comes to this conclusion. He mentions some things like he has no ties to Russia, really. He's from a different country, and his wife has died, which is kind of a big thing for Ramius. He brings that point up quite a few times throughout the movie. And the Joint Chiefs pretty much labeled Jack Ryan as a political spy submarine savant of some sort, and he's now the guy in charge and the one to really like head this operation.
Do you guys know anything about Jack Ryan other than this movie? Like, is he sub-based, or does he just have this side hobby where he's really into them?
So it kind of depends, like, on the Jack Ryan story. It's not all military, but the most common, not all naval or like sub-based, but the most common thing with Jack Ryan is he's kind of like James Bond's introverted cousin. He's typically thrust into action where he doesn't like go looking for it. He's very, I mean, the line "I'm an analyst" is in every Jack Ryan movie.
Yeah. He's like a reluctant spy.
Yeah.
He just gets tossed in every time. But he has there's always the story of like he was in this helicopter crash and he was a Marine at some point. But he was seriously injured or something. So Ramius, Kylo, he wants to like Tokyo drift through this thing called Thor's taint or something. With these caterpillar drives going at full speed. Is this a good or a bad idea? And what happens to the sub?
So, yeah, real quick, have we really explained the caterpillar drive? Like, I guess I'll just give it a little bit of
Please
my
give us the
understanding.
physics behind the caterpillar drive, Kylo. We're all
Right,
ears.
exactly.
How does it work?
Well, you have to have
It's NOS.
You have to have a subproton nuclear reactor, right? That's the key. No, I have no idea, but the way it's set up in this movie and the way I remember it for like a layman like myself is like it can go crazy fast and it can't be detected by sonar. So sonar is obviously a big aspect of this movie, and that's what they use to kind of track each other. That's how you tell if there's other submarines nearby. But this particular submarine has this special capability. So you were talking about this like area they go through, right, Mikey? What was it called?
It's like Thor's twins. It's like a valley in
Twin Thors, I think. Yeah, or Thor's twins, yeah.
Thor's taint.
Right.
at like the bottom of the ocean.
But I don't remember the exact details, but I think this is the first of many parts in the movie where we get to see like how good the Captain Ramius is at like maneuvering this thing, because a lot of the moments of tension where you think a submarine might be damaged or destroyed at a lot of points in the movie is just evaded by like intelligent maneuverability rather than just like, you know, aimlessly kind of firing at each other, which you might see more, I guess, in a Michael Bay movie. But in this one, it's like really all about tactics. And I think this is where we get to see his savviness in that area. Right, Mikey?
Yeah, he's the Dominic Toretto of submarines. He's thinking 2-3 steps ahead. He's drifting
He would
around
like
these
jump
corners.
out and just like roll in the water if his sub got blown up, though.
Okay, but his tactics usually just amount to waiting until the last moment before doing a single thing.
Okay, but his timing is perfect every time, Josh. It's incredible.
He doesn't even press the
He has
button
to count
himself.
to 8. Yeah.
You know what I really, really like about this movie is it makes you think, what would it be like to actually be on a sub? You know what I mean? Because like when
Terrifying.
for some reason, like when I picture subs, I always pictured like the James Cameron kind, you know, where you can kind of see out the front and steer it. But these guys are just doing math to figure out like where they need to go and stuff. And the movie doesn't shy away from like showing you charts and having them explain like what their trajectory is and stuff. I love that about this.
I would get so sick of people lighting up cigarettes on a submarine.
Oh my
That's
God.
rough.
I cannot believe that's allowed. That seems insane to me.
They're all sweating
Sucking
down
up all the
there.
oxygen.
Seriously.
There is kind of like a frightening component of like being in this confined space underwater. And then if you have an enemy nearby you, you can't like see or hear them. You're just basically like detecting it through sonar and math. And then you got to figure out what to do. And I agree, Pappy. I think it's cool that the level of accuracy in which they do that.
But scary as hell. Like I feel like I wouldn't go on one of these given the opportunity, even if I knew it would be safe. It just seems so terrifying.
No, I would never, ever set foot on one. Even if it was just like a fun voyage.
Would you guys rather die from like a plane crash or from a submarine, like a plane getting
What the
shot?
fuck?
Here's my question: a plane
God.
out of the
Jesus.
air by a missile, or you're in
Okay.
a submarine that gets missiled? Like
Plane.
which?
Plane.
Yeah. Because then I wouldn't possibly drown if I survived.
Yeah.
And then possibly get eaten by a shark if I survive that.
Yeah, the
just be
ocean just
dead.
adds too much.
It's too much fear
Danger.
down there, Josh. You don't know what's down there.
Passing the twins now, Captain.
Very good. You may commence your run. Call me when you get to the first turning.
Aye, Captain. Mr. Kamarov, you may commence your run now.
Aye, sir. First leg on my mark. Course 260. Speed 18 knots. Depth 270 meters. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Mark. Diving command, course 260.
Course 260 Y.
Speed 18 knots.
260. Speed 18 knots.
Stop
hissing, Korey.
Give me a stopwatch and a map, and I'll fly the Alps in a plane with no windows.
The map is accurate enough.
So the engineers are just like, Ramius is crazy. He's losing it. We cannot follow these orders. He's going way too fast. And then the Caterpillar drive ends up failing. And then another Russian sub, I think this one might be piloted by Stellan Skarsgård. Mm-hmm. He's like on the case of what Sean Connery is up to. He's like, this guy he's bringing the whole fleet with him and he's defecting or something. He's up to no good. And he shoots at the Red October. And our guy who's in charge of the Caterpillar drive, like the engineer down by the engine room or whatever, he's like, a Saboteur is the one who messed up the Caterpillar drive. So everybody's on edge, and this plan is kind of falling apart at the seams. Jack is on his way to this US sub, which has like Jonesy and everybody on it. Does he make it there fairly easy?
To get to the other submarine?
Yeah, he has kind of a hard time.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Jack Ryan, like, there's this one BA submarine that really all it comes down to is that they got Jonesy and he can hear for miles. And so he's like, I got to get on that sub with Jonesy because he's the man. Meanwhile, Jonesy is like already tracking that sub, but they have to pull out to take this message. And like, they bring in this analyst by helicopter. I mean, it doesn't make much sense, does it, Mikey? Like, you don't bring in an analyst. Why can't he just radio in and like tell them what he analyzed or something? But it makes for an exciting scene because practically they're on top of this big boat. I think one of the guys that's trying to like grab him gets thrown off. At one point, the helicopter's gas is like running low. I could pick this apart like movie sins wise, Mikey, but this is like really fun stuff to watch. I don't want to really like knock this around too much. You know what I mean?
It's just, I mean, yeah, you bring up a good point. What's the deal with the radios? Why just let them know what's happening? What is this one dork gonna do? I guess, like, how is he gonna save the day? And he's there. It's just such a dangerous maneuver to drop a man from a helicopter and shove him on a sub and then just waste everybody's time. If you can't even find the sub, it just seems so ridiculous. But they end up finding that sub, and he's got to explain to the captain about this Red October warship or whatever. And eventually they find it, and a game of nuclear submarine chicken ensues. We've got two captains that are just kind of like circling each other, and they're kind of like feeling each other out. They've spotted each other in the water, and they're just trying to figure out a way to communicate to each other. And Stevie, how do they communicate?
By Morse code, right?
Yeah,
they like ping each other back and forth.
Yeah, they're just pinging each other back and forth. And Sam Neill looks so distressed every time Sean Connery says, "Ping him once."
One ping.
One ping only. And Sam Neill each time looks like he wants to have a nervous breakdown and just start yelling at Sean Connery. It's actually,
dude, he looks like he just got told they breed raptors on the submarine.
I mean, every time he tells him one ping, like Sam Neill just shoots him that. Like for a minute, it's really good movie making by John McTiernan or good editing. Like I thought Sam Neill was the rat at some point. Like is he the saboteur? Because he wasn't going along a lot with what Sean Connery was trying to throw down. He kept getting him that looks like, are you an idiot?
Yeah, he resisted a lot.
Yeah.
It's just so tense, and I don't know why Sean Connery's character is playing everything so close to the to the chest. I guess at this point, it's like I feel like the people in this room would have to be on his side. He has to have all of these guys on his side in this room. because they're the one operating the ship. I mean, they're going to listen to what he says. So I don't know. I don't know why he's like not telling anybody else what's going on, because Jack Ryan and the captain are setting up the terms, I guess, of this, like, are you defecting or what are you trying to do? Because if you're trying to shoot us, then we're going to shoot you out of the water. After they've communicated that that the Russians intend to defect, it's all Paps on deck. Pappy, these Russian guys, they're sinking, so they got to abandon ship. How did this happen? What was the captain's plan? What was the U.S. captain's plan? Like, what? It gets a little... Everything is close to the chest at this point.
You got to ask yourself, like Alec Baldwin did in The Mirror, how do you get people off a nuclear sub? Which, I don't know, like that's the thing about this movie, man. Like thinking about like the fact that there are submarines out there right now with nuclear warheads on them deep under the ocean. Like that's fucking crazy. That's fucking so crazy.
That is, yeah.
This is such an insane weapon. And of course, one of the things you have to worry about when you have a nuclear submarine would be radiation leakage. So I love how Sean Connery is just playing Tim Curry, the doctor, like a fiddle in this scene. Because the doctor's just been this huge spur in his ass the whole movie. And like Sean Connery lets Tim Curry think that like he's calling the shots, but he's really just doing exactly what Sean Connery wants. So they all evacuate the boat, they get on the lifeboats, and then an American warship pulls up and kind of complicates things a little bit.
Those are some of the funniest insert shots too, because that leads to like all of the Russian crew like being in their little flotation devices watching kind of the battle unfold. And every time they think like Sean Connery is like standing up for the Russian cause, and they're like, hip hip hooray, but they got it totally wrong.
These are the guys that are like in the dark that have no idea that Sean Connery's like defecting. No, I don't know. They just think a war hero was like going down with the ship at this point or something. But yeah, we get kind of like an interesting trick played by Darth Vader here. That warship shoots a torpedo for sure at the Red October, but they end up detonating it right before it hits, thus making everybody else around in the area thinking that they sunk this ship. So the Red October is still out there, and it's got our Russian guys. And I think Jack Ryan and the captain of the U.S. ship are headed there on their little, like, attachable submarine ship or whatever. So there's, like, a lot of sneaky stuff going on to get the Russians off. And now we're trying to get the defectors on the U.S. ship.
Stevie question.
Josh.
Can you explain this part of the plot to, like, a normal person?
I'll do my best.
Because everything that Mikey said, I think, is technically true, but that's tough. What's happening?
Which part?
Like that missile that they detonate early.
How does Darth Vader even have the authority to do that?
He's
How does he show up
CIA,
there?
bro. He just shows badges.
Does he have two keys too?
I mean, I think he's holding all the keys at this point.
Oh.
I mean, really, what the CIA is trying to say is, you know, nothing against people like in the Naval Academy or anything, but there's a lot of like interest from different sides that want different things. And so really what's going on is like the Navy's saying we're going to blow these Ruskies, you know, out of the sky pretty much. We're going to make sure that, no Russian sub gets as far again. And we're just going to eviscerate this thing and go home, and everybody's going to pat each other on the back. What the CIA is trying to say is, you have billions upon billions of dollars of technology in the water right now. We're not losing this thing. We're going to take this thing home intact. So that's pretty much what the CIA is trying to say.
Yeah, if anyone's going to start World War III, it's going to be America.
Yeah, I don't think if they gave a damn, like, if they did start a war or if they killed Jack Ryan, they didn't care. What they were saying is, we're taking this technology home.
Yeah. Why are we going to develop it when we can just steal it from you guys?
Exactly.
So, yeah, James Earl Jones, like, just presses a button, and that's the plan, is CIA detonated, exploded a torpedo and false flag, fake explosion of the Red October. And so everybody's on board the Red October at this point. We got Jack Ryan, we got Sam Neill, we got Sean Connery, we got all the guys
Jonesy.
on the US sub. Jonesy.
Okay,
there.
Let's not. We've gassed up Jonesy a lot, but the captain, Scott Glenn, is an amazing fucking actor.
So
He's been in a lot of
good.
good movies. He's like the main FBI guy, I think, from Silence of the Lambs. I think he's fucking incredible as well. Like, no slight to Jonesy at all. He's great, but
Hell yeah, that's my boy, dude. That's Stick from Daredevil.
It's Old Wise Man from Sucker Punch. What are you guys talking about?
He's been in a lot
That's
of
what
stuff,
he's known
dude. Very
for.
prolific actor.
What is his
He
name in
great.
Vertical Limit? Does anybody remember?
Oh, yeah.
It's a
Vertical Limit's
ridiculous
awesome.
movie.
Vertical Limit's crazy. Yeah, I agree, Pap. He's pretty good. Like I said, this whole cast is stacked, so he's a really good actor. I was going to ask Brett this, but Brett, life on the line. You got to take commands from either Sean Connery or the Old Wise Man from Sucker Punch. Who are you listening to?
Brett would never pick a communist ever. He would rather die a capitalist than listen to a communist in life.
So that's a pretty tense moment where Jack Ryan just has to like jump into the seat of this sub, which is absolutely ridiculous. But he's tilting this bad boy left and right apparently, and we've got missiles that are being fired, and we're turning into them to disarm them somehow. The Saboteur ends up shooting Sam Neill and fires a bunch of rounds into the command center. Everybody's ducking. For some reason, we've chosen Ramius and Jack to run after the Saboteur, probably the two most important guys. I don't know why they are the ones to go after this guy. But Ramius gets shot immediately. He's no longer part of the pursuit. Stevie, what happens in this like big boiler room? How does Jack find the Saboteur, and who is it?
So, is this supposed to be a big reveal or a ironic reveal? Because it seemed kind of like, kind of Scooby-Doo-ish of Jack Ryan to go, the fry cook. It just
Ratatouille.
Yeah, exactly. And this dude is ready to blow them all up in the name of Mother Russia. And my question for Pappy is, was this dude an insurance policy for someone above Sean Connery that's not on the ship? Like, is he there just to make sure like everything goes smoothly, and if anything goes awry, blow it up?
I think that's just kind of one of the things that's inherent with an authoritarian regime, right? You got to have a lot of ears on the inside, a lot of counter spying,
lots of ins, lots of outs,
because there's just so much paranoia it takes to keep those things going. So I mean, yeah, classic KGB bad guy in this movie, but I really don't want to skip over when Sean Connery's laying on the ground bleeding and he looks at Alec Baldwin and tells him to be careful what he shoots. I mean, come on, Alec Baldwin probably should have listened to that 20 years later, 30 years later, right?
No.
Was no one else thinking that? And Alec Baldwin's like, I got to be careful when I shoot. Later, it's like, yeah, you should be.
Oh. Okay, I do want to speak to that. Not directly, but indirectly, Pappy, because...
We brought it up on the last episode. It was breaking news when it went down.
Yeah. Well, Alec Baldwin in this movie and of this era is unrecognizable to me as modern-day Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin. Yeah, I can't even connect them. Mm-hmm. I look at this man and I think, man, he should have been in more movies. I forget that it's Alec Baldwin. So I didn't make that connection because there's such a disconnect for me.
Josh, what do you think about that?
Man, I don't know. Like, what happened on that set is pretty terrible, man. She got, like, shot through the chest, and the bullet struck, like, the DP behind her.
The director.
Yeah, and, like... He was like, what the heck? That stings. And Alec Baldwin was quoted on set as saying, what the fuck just happened? Like, totally breaking character. And even she was like, speaking a little bit after, like, it's a pretty horrifying scene. Yeah.
Pretty dark.
People are going to go to prison.
What people?
I imagine those that were supposed to be checking the firearm before it ever made it to set.
Apparently there was just like random live rounds and all of the blanks too. It's like somebody's got to be held accountable for that.
It's usually that stuff like passes through like 5 hands before it ever gets to the actor.
It seemed like an unsafe culture. Yeah, didn't seem good.
I've heard claims of sabotage as well, though.
Fry cook?
Well, what I heard is that some of the crew was actually using that gun for target practice during off hours, which is very strange. But also people like had already left because they were like not satisfied with the working conditions. So people like were actively striking. People walked off set. So because of that, they were cutting corners to get things shot, apparently, not in the, and I mean, on film shot.
Which I don't blame Alec Baldwin, the actor, because that's not on him, but it was his production company making the movie, and he was a producer on set. So I'd have to say that he contributed to the unsafe culture by wanting to continue the shoot and cutting those corners, but tune in more next week for more Alec Baldwin coverage here on Spoilers.
We'll start up the news podcast of all the movies, all the movie news you want to hear about. Where are we at? The Saboteur. It's like the fry cook that witnessed everything happening in the beginning of the movie with the 2 keys.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know why he ends up being the Saboteur, or maybe after seeing that he does all of this to like stop Ramius's plans. Maybe I don't know if he was a saboteur the entire time. But I just love the way it looks when Jack is standing up and like that room is all red. It's a very cool backdrop of just the final scene. Even though it's kind of boring and nothing really happens, Jack just kind of like falls down from the ceiling and shoots the guy. But we still got like one more antagonist that's on our tail in the Red October. Stellan Skarsgård just keeps firing missiles at us. Josh, who blows up Stellan Skarsgård boat?
Man, it's so nice when he finally gets blown up. Is this where Jack Ryan like takes the controls like he's one of Richie Rich's friends come into the mansion for the first time?
Yeah. They're weaving all over the place, and Jack Ryan's twisting a knob.
For some reason, this like last bit of the mission, Sean Connery can't lower himself to like take a seat at this control panel, so he has inexperienced Jack Ryan do it. And basically, Jack Ryan, he shoots this cook turned spy that you talked about, and it's pretty quick, but they show him like drenched in sweat after that. So it's almost like, oh man, it's like his first kill. And then he's like, also take out this full sub full of dozens of men. Now that you're on a roll, you're on a hot streak, buddy.
Well, it's like Stellan Skarsgård shoots this missile, and it's just like they have evasive maneuvers or whatever. They're dropping these things to throw the torpedo off of it. And it gets lost in the water, and it's looking for something new to search for, and it ends up finding the boat that shot the torpedo. So he ends up blowing himself up.
Oh, is this when one of his subordinates go, "You like arrogant son of a bitch, you got us killed"?
Yeah, and it's so deadpan before they just explode. It's really ridiculous.
Torpedo, dead ahead! You arrogant ass! You've killed us!
The way Stellan Skarsgård and like his ship is framed in the movie is, I think, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
This is like another Star Trek-y thing for me, because like they're lit like really red and green, and like Stellan Skarsgård looks like very sweaty. Like you can tell he's like a clear like villain, right? Like he's coming after them. Like in terms of us, the viewer, we know that like he's a bad guy, and I think they like show us that visually pretty well. And again, it definitely reminds me of like a Klingon ship, right? Like they'd be like lit like in green, like leaning forward, like fire, all like angry and sweaty and stuff.
I want to double check, but I don't think there's a single like straight on shot of Stellan Skarsgård's sub. Like there's all like Dutch angles or like tilted slightly, you know what I mean? So it just like feels a little bit more chaotic. He's always chain smoking cigarettes over there. He's a great bad guy.
Yeah, there's definitely a different vibe on that ship compared to Sean Connery's ship. They seem slightly more evil Russian. I don't know. I don't want to say like I agree with Sean Connery because he's technically still fighting for the Russian army or something. I can't. I don't know. Does he really expect to just like Sam Neill mentions that he wants to just move to Montana and have 2 wives, and they've never even talked to an American yet, and they've got their lives planned out in America. I don't know. It just seems very bold. I don't know if Sean Connery was planning on going down with the ship or something before even getting there.
I think this is an interesting question. This is like kind of the morality of what they're doing. Because on one hand, they're delivering America, quote, the good guys, this Armageddon-esque technology. So that's good, I guess. But on the other hand, they're doing a really dangerous rogue thing to kind of set themselves up for a better life personally.
Yeah, they're not exactly preventing a war or anything. They're just giving the other guy the gun. And I don't know. It's like you're still you're still going to be in one of the 2 countries blowing each other up if they end up shooting these things. So I don't know. Interesting plan, Sean Connery.
It's a very Hans Landa thing from Inglourious Basterds. We just did The Stranger, Mikey.
Yeah.
This is what Orson Welles wanted to do in Harper, Connecticut. He wanted to just blend in and wait for the next war. Is that what Sean Connery's doing here? Wants to blend in.
He just wants to go fishing, Josh. He's not itching for another war.
And remember, he's not a true like Ruski. He's Lithuanian or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you couldn't tell by his accent how Lithuanian he was?
So they end up successfully defecting. Ramius and Jack have a chat at the top of this sub as they're like heading back to Jack's hometown, who just happens to have a sub dock or whatever. I don't know where they're gonna hide this thing at, but they're gonna pick up the sub in this bay or something. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. Jack is finally back on another plane, and he can finally fall asleep on a plane. That was kind of like a running joke, is he's constantly chugging all of this coffee. He's not sleeping at all, and he's definitely cannot fall asleep on a plane. And now he's finally...
Because of turbulence, yeah. With turbulence, with like the wind and the...
and the sun heats the earth.
Yeah.
Billions of years ago, there was a big bang.
He seems to be staying up for like multiple days in a row, just staring at these same 2 pictures too. Like, that is some dedication to stay awake.
Well, the nuclear war could be on the brink. He's apparently the guy. He's got to explain everything to everybody. So he needs to be awake.
He's got to check out those doors.
He's like, have you seen the doors? Check out the doors, guy. They're really weird. We got to get on these doors on this sub.
Look at the doors, Gary.
So we'll just go back around, same order for the final thoughts. Korey.
Final thoughts. All right. The firing of torpedoes in this movie is like the one really bad aspect of this movie. It gave me very distinct Jaws 3 vibes. Do you guys remember the way the torpedoes looked underwater?
Vaguely.
Like a shark?
Yeah, like a shark just coming right at you. No, like for a movie that has like a lot of cool like sets and practical effects, the torpedoes look like shit. It's like early CG, I think. So, that doesn't help. But also, and I'm sure Josh recognized him. Did you guys see LaFours?
You don't know LaFours is?
He doesn't know LaFours is.
Nice.
Thank you. Those were my only final thoughts. Are we doing yes or no's now?
Yeah,
or
we
later?
can do yes or no's.
What?
All right.
That's not how these final thoughts work.
That's going to be this. I'm just
Hey,
going to
he's
go
running the
back
show
and
here.
ask yes or no right afterwards.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
Look, Mikey is the Ramius of this podcast right now.
I
okay?
want to
We're gonna obey
defect.
the
I want
orders.
to get out of here.
All right. I'm going to give this movie a yes, Mikey. I have seen parts of this movie in my life, and I realized that I was watching it. It's always like a weird feeling when that happens. I think this was on a lot in like 1993 on TNT. So like me as a kid, when I would watch TV, it was mostly just channel surfing, looking for movies. Like that was my thing, movies more than TV shows. So I've seen parts of this. It was cool to watch it in its entirety and, just get the full plot because I had no idea what I had seen when I was younger. But I think this movie is pretty good for the like slow burn military drama that it is. And when I looked at it earlier on IMDb, one of the, IMDb will give it 3 genres, I think, or 2 in some cases, but one of them was action. And this movie, I would assume, was marketed as an action movie, but it's not really an action movie, is it? It's more just like a tense drama, maybe in the area of thriller. But for what it is, it's really good. It's a lot of conversations building tension to a situation of things you mostly don't see, just like the characters in the movie. But I liked it. Good performances. Pretty cool. Relic of its time. Yes for me.
Cool.
This is Pappy, recording again from Kalamazoo, Michigan. A few final thoughts here. John McTiernan, 3 Movie Club, Rarefied Air for directors, Die Hard, Predator, and now this. I didn't love the Die Hard shot in the movie, though, when Alec Baldwin's like crawling around. It's like the same shot of like him looking up. Like,
and the ducks.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, he's copying himself, but still, it's like, come on. I've seen this before. The political officer who's killed, his name's Putin, which is just really weird when they say that in the movie. Like, what happened to Putin? It's like, oh, wait till you find out what happens to Putin. Don't want to ruin the story. But did you guys like Sam Neill's like Montana speech? I love Sam Neill, 3 Movie Club as well.
He wants to go out there and dig for dinosaur bones.
Yeah, dude. He just wants to come to Elkhart and get a recreational vehicle and drive it to Montana.
You liked it, Stevie?
Wabbits.
Yes, I did like it.
Jeez. What did you like about it? Don't get all aggressive with me.
I'll get aggressive. I am defending this Roosty staunchly,
cheesy.
Pap.
It's so over the top and cheesy. It just doesn't fit in the rest with the movie. It was like, I wanted to see Montana. It's like, okay, whatever.
Well, I mean, think of it. Like, this movie is set in, 1984? I mean, he probably saw Easy Rider once and was like, you know what? I want to go do that
All he's
shit.
known as the harsh, cold land of Russia. He wants...
That's all he knows.
The harsh,
he wants to go to the harsh, cold land of Montana.
All right, that makes sense. It's valid.
Can I jump in on your final thought and ask you a question? Because
Please.
I feel like we could have a whole podcast on this versus Doctor Strangelove. Like all the way down the line, I think plot-wise, there's like a lot of the same things happening.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, I mean, it's a good story to tell, right? I mean, it's one of those times where you look at the art that's being made and it really is addressing the concerns facing humanity at the time, right? And Doctor Strangelove does it in a more silly way. This is more of a thriller, but it's like, as I said, I was watching this movie, I'm like, fuck, there are subs with nuclear missiles just vibing in the ocean all around the world. I know that there's probably multiple fail safes, but like how many times have we had close calls, like actually madmen or people wanting to defect and be getting violent or something?
Yeah, they wouldn't tell us about everything for sure. They would never tell us about this for sure.
We have no idea. So it's like, yeah, I think it's like a really important story to tell. And kind of, I don't know, kind of on that same thought too, just another final thought that I had. It's like, you can tell why in the 90s, so many movies about the government and like TV shows about the government are like, they have all this super technology, right? Because that's like directly after the Cold War. So it's like people like looked at the government like, holy shit, like, we're flying subs through Thor's taint, like Mikey said, not even being able to see anything at too fast. Like, what else are we capable of? So, pretty crazy. Last style thought I had, as much as I like the language switching at the beginning, when it happens at the end and they're all like standing in the sub, it's just a little disorienting then. I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but it's like, it's so cool when it pivots on Armageddon and then they're like speaking Russian and speaking English at the same time.
Yeah, I can get that. Is that it, Pap? So what was that? A yes? No? Yes?
Oh, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
I'm not done yet. I also like the what books scene, too, with Sean Connery, when he's, like, describing what books he wrote, and they're barreling down that torpedo head on, and it just breaks apart. I didn't know torpedoes worked like that. Feels like a cheesy trick for the audience. Yeah, I'll give it a hard yes. I really liked it. I could see if you're watching it and you're like, oh, this is such jingoistic Brett staunch dad movie, but I don't know. It really didn't bother me when I was watching it. And it's kind of like a realistic story of the Cold War. And like I said, I think it's better to like tell these stories to get people thinking about nuclear weapons and like, I don't know, than any blowback in terms of like I said, like extreme patriotism or anti-Russian sentiment. So yeah, hard yes. Really interesting movie. Doesn't feel its length. Great pick, Mikey.
Stevie?
No, this is all Josh. We're going same order. This is Josh.
Oh, right.
Okay, I'll give this a dumb yes, a shallow yes. I'm kind of calling the movie slightly dumb, but I'm also calling myself slightly dumb here. I was actually shocked twice by my power cord on my computer today, so I feel like I lost a couple brain cells right before watching this. But I had a hard time figuring out like all the back and forth, like technical aspects of the military, CIA, Ruskies, world powers, ambassadors, Jack Ryan's analysts, like a lot of just words. I think Sean Connery, like, it kind of got repetitive a little bit. The same trick of him waiting till the last minute to pull off a stunning move. He's just like playing poker / chicken with the sub the whole time. But I'm still giving, like, it's a fun watch. Like, when you're in it, it's fun. A lot like we said The Rock was, so I'm going to compare it to The Rock again. But really quick, since we're like mixing final thoughts with yes or no's here, I think if I was going to fix this, quote, fix this and make it a Josh movie, I'd really embrace like the fantastical nature that I was talking about. So like this magic that like makes the sub silent, I would make it be some like old Russian relic or something that's like part of the sub that's like magically making it silent. And when they're in Thor's dingleberry or chode or whatever, like a Balrog should like come up and try to like snatch them or something like that real quick.
What are you?
This is
Time Bandits. This is Tom
Instead
Clancy.
of using
Lord of the Rings.
Josh, what the fuck are you talking about?
You know when they send up the periscopes and they're talking in like Morse code? I think it'd be cooler if like Subs Standard had like a telepathic person on board.
Josh wants The Shining
What
on
is
board.
this movie?
Yeah, he wants Alec Baldwin and Sean Connery talking
You
with
want
The
more
Shining.
of like an Indiana Jones? The Nazis are after this weird technology, ancient technology that could give them an advantage in the war type twist.
Josh wants twins and clones.
And that concludes my yes or no segment. I'm giving it a dumb yes.
Can I ask you a Josh question, since you asked me one during mine?
Sure.
Who's the Christ-like character of The Hunt for Red October? Another The movie.
Sam Neill sacrifices dreams in Montana for the greater good, right? I don't know.
R.I.P. I like his speech now. You convinced me.
Stevie?
I'm so confused by Josh. Josh,
I got shocked today, okay? I was shocked.
do you really think that John McTiernan and Michael Bay are on the same level?
I mean, Pap listed off some bangers of John McTiernan. That's not even the whole filmography, I'm sure.
No, John McTiernan is 100 times the director of Michael Bay. Like, if Michael Bay directed this movie, it would be a nightmare. There wouldn't be one shot that lasted more than half a second. It would be the most disorienting experience we could ever wish for.
I agree. And The Rock.
Shame on you,
And The Rock
Josh.
came out after this.
Yeah, that means Michael Bay is a John McTiernan
Great.
hack.
I agree with you.
Okay, good. This is...
Except for Armageddon.
Armageddon does have Aerosmith.
And The Rock, obviously.
Yeah. But this is like the hardest of yeses. I absolutely love this movie. This is my favorite Jack Ryan movie. I think Alec Baldwin is the best Jack Ryan, even though he only did one outing as Jack Ryan. I think it's a great movie because let's be honest, submarines are kind of fucking boring. And this story and the direction of the acting made it very suspenseful. And like Pap said, it did not feel its length at all. All the acting is awesome. The music is a banger. Score's awesome. So yeah, I give this the hardest of yeses. Probably the best submarine movie there is.
That's high praise. Mikey, recording from Goshen, Indiana. My review is, yeah, I like this movie a lot. I agree with Stevie. It's probably the best Jack Ryan movie. We brought up a lot of good points. It kind of pulls a pretty good magic trick of making subs pretty interesting. There's so much tension on this boat, and subs just seem like a really boring setting for a place, but it's all very tense, and it's not exactly action, but you feel like action could pop off at any moment. And it's got great editing and framing of all the shots for such a tight space in this submarine. So it's like the ultimate lazy dad afternoon movie. Just Pap, you brought up a really good point of like, wow, this really could have gone a different way and been like stauncher porn or something, but it just kind of shows how scary nukes really are. And it's just kind of more of a, I'm not going to say a horror film, but it's like, wow, that's a possibility, and we never ever think about it ever, and it's just out there all the time. So it's just important to know that nukes are out there, I guess, is the moral of the movie. But I love it a lot, and I give it a solid yes. So trivia, you guys ready?
What food would this be, Mikey?
What are they? The doctor is eating something gross looking.
A submarine sandwich?
Ooh. A Jersey Mike sub?
Now that's what I call a hole in one.
Yeah, pretty fresh Jersey Mike sub. Have it Mike's way. Jersey Mike, if you want to sponsor us, I'd really appreciate that.
Yeah. They took chicken parm off the menu, so they're dead to me.
And there goes the Jersey Mike sponsorship.
Okay. Yeah, we don't
quickly as it arrived.
Quiznos, what you doing?
So trivia, we're just going to do closest to. I'm very lazy with the trivia, but do we have the order?
Give me 2 seconds. I think I fixed the order. There was a lot of controversy on the Stranger episode. Took a lot of heat for this order. Mikey, obviously, The Hunt for Red October. Then Josh
Great start.
with The Stranger. Then Brett with The Burbs. Then Stevie with The Ring. The Collection. Korey with Hedwig and the Angry Inch. And then Pappy with On the Schneid with The Ring. So, and I'm also playing for Korey tonight too. So Korey has 2 Schneid picks down here, just waiting.
But it's weird that Hedwig was so much before The Ring, but yet that's ahead of you in the order. But okay,
don't ask me ask Korey. It was Korey's choice.
I don't know.
Backdoor trades and deals have really screwed up.
Are you going to bring this up every time until Korey wins, Josh?
The thing is, Korey gets like it's closest to, and he gets the last 2 picks for it.
And it's been the longest since he's hosted. That seems like
He deserves it. I miss Korey hosting. It's true.
All right, Korey, this one's yours to lose.
Sure is.
Don't screw it up. The Philadelphia experiment is a conspiracy theory surrounding a U.S. naval ship being rendered invisible in late October of 1943. The U.S. government denies that this ever happened, that the U.S. Aldrich ever took part in any sort of experiment. How long of a boat is the USS Aldrich? Closest to will win. Pap, you are first?
Well, I think it'd be Josh first, The Stranger. And what in what unit of measurement are we talking here?
Feet.
Okay.
Centimeters.
Yep. Man, of all the questions about that, it's how long this ship is. That ship's, they say, phased out of our reality, and maybe even partially. Like, some people were like torn half their bodies in and out of different realities. But anyway, I will just say 1,200 feet. Give us a nice baseline for this trivia.
1,200 pounds? Interesting. Okay. Stevie.
Oh, I love my wife. I will say 300.
Kylo's first pick.
I'll go 1,201.
Pap / Kylo's second pick.
Yeah, what are you going to do here, buddy boy?
301.
That bastard.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Pap coming in out of nowhere. 301. The answer is 306.
Yeah. Stevie seems so confident in his answer. I'm like, Stevie's got to be the closest here.
Did you guys watch a documentary or something? Why?
My wife was last week. They said like the ship was
really?
a football field in length. Yeah.
Oh my God. That's lucky.
Yeah, that's why I said I love my wife, and Pap just goes in there.
Well, you got to have a better poker face. But if it makes you feel any better, I don't get to pick a movie. So, and Josh can stop bringing up, why has it been so long since Korey hosted, too?
And that's
So, Korey,
not even my point. It was just that he was... Never mind. Hedwig, never mind.
Korey, I give you my pick, officially.
Thank you, Pappy. I appreciate that.
Do you want us to go to break and come back to you, or do you need...
Yeah,
or do you
let's
know
do
now?
that.
All right. Take it away, Spoiler Man.
Special thank you to our patrons. Matt Troll.
It's rumored he has a special place in his heart for you.
Brother Brian.
I did the bio on him last year. He's taken out the lead boat in each new subclass for the last 10 years.
Druid King.
One thing only.
Nick.
Big son of a bitch.
The Meg.
You've lost another submarine?
David.
When's the last time you slept?
Nurse Stacy.
You know, if you did try and get some sleep, the flight would go a lot faster.
I can never sleep on a plane. Turbulence.
Pardon?
Brother Ellis.
Turbulence. Solar radiation heats the Earth's crust. Warm air rises, cool air descends. Turbulence. I don't like that.
If you'd like to request an episode, hear your name read by Spoiler Man, or even just help us make podcasts, please check us out on patreon.com/spoilerspodcast.
And we're back. Kylo, what's your movie?
All right, guys. It's been talked about on this podcast here and there. I've heard it be mentioned a few times. It's something that I really look forward to doing with you guys. It's a movie I watched in high school a lot. You
Let's
guys watched it in high school. It's called The Boondock Saints.
Let's
Now,
go.
this pick is contingent on both Long brothers being present. So Jordan has to be there, come hell or high water.
You got to coordinate that then.
Josh,
This is a
you got
Brett,
me, right?
Yes, and this is a Brett favorite too, and I know friend of the pod, Brother Brian, is going to love this choice as well.
I think we're going to have a lot of fun talking about this movie. I think we'll have a lot of varying opinions on it.
I'm excited to see Norman Reedus just perpetuate every Catholic stereotype that is known to man. But with a gun. So that will be next week, hosted by Korey, Kylo Ren memes. We've got Boondock Saints. Why did you choose this? Because the announcement of the third one, I'm guessing?
I'll just say yes to that, Mikey. That fits.
Oh, okay.
Just last pod, Mikey goes, I don't know if he was Catholic or Christian or what. And Brett was like, you mean Catholic or Protestant?
Yeah.
And Mike said, I don't give a fuck. They're all the same to me. It was one of the best things I've ever heard.
So, Pap, is there anything else in the pipe that we want to... Do we got anything to read? We got Korey's pick in. Do we got reviews or anything? Or can we toss out here?
Just real quick, I'm glad you said that. Shout out to Patreon Brandon. Brandon, friend of the pod, we DM a lot. Sorry it's taken so long to get Zodiac out. Look for, in the past, more Patreon episodes have come out. But sorry it took so long. We love you.
All right.
That's it. That's
Nothing,
it, though.
I can't think of what's coming out soon.
Lord of the Rings. The start of next year.
Oh boy.
Let's go.
Already starting the heated controversy
Time
that is
stamps.
the Lord of the Rings episodes.
The timestamps.
All right, guys. Next week, Boondock Saints. That was spoilers.
Whenever this happens, it's totally like the Green Knight scenario. Korey was like, you can take one chop off my head, but then 8 trivias down the line, I get to chop your head off.
Right.
When I saw the Green Knight and the dude, the Green Knight got down on one knee to take like the blow from Dev Patel, I was like, just poke him in the shoulder.
Exactly.
Yes.
Cut him on the shoulder or something.
I'm still bitter that I was the only one that had the balls that say the movie was horseshit.
I said no.
People like
You
that
weren't-
movie.
No, you did not.
I gave it a no.
You said, I'm not sure if I can give it a yes or no at this time. I have to watch it again.
You did.
No, I gave it a no.
No, you didn't.
I edited the episode. I think I would know. How much do you want to bet?
Did you edit in and no?
How much?
Did you edit in
How
and
much
no?
do you want to bet?
ADR'd himself.
Right now. How much do you want to bet? I'm pulling it up on YouTube.
Pull it up, Jamie.
We've got backdoor deals. We've got edited
Stevie?
in no's.
How much
sanctity
money
of
do you want
spoilers
to bet?
truth.
I'm not betting you money. I got a kid to feed.
So I'm not looking it up then, and I'm right. Carry on. That's good hijack content.
One sec. I'm deciding between two things. Something that you guys will like to pod on and something that you guys will hate to pod on.
Then I am looking this up.
Probably should do the like.
Let the hate flow through you.
Please not like It's Pat 2.
I was thinking about picking something on that level, but I think I'm going to skip that, yeah.
The Green Knight is the Lin-Manuel Miranda of movies of 2021.
What does that mean?
The Green Knights, I'll say this, Stevie, the Green Knights
It's a musical?
probably 50% better than Lamb, at least. Like,
Well, that's not great news for
no,
Lamb.
it's not. But
It was a good podcast, though.
explain what you mean by the Lin-Manuel Miranda thing.
People act like it's good when it's just not. Like, you can look at something and you just go, well, it's not very good. And I think it's quite obvious Lin-Manuel Miranda has ran his course of popularity, in my opinion.
Never mind.
What's the next Lin-Manuel Miranda project coming out?
Encanto, and Disney didn't even put his name on it.
They're really distancing themselves from it.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
Good.
I'm ready.
By the way, I will say I was wrong. You guys were right.
Yeah.
I gave it a yes. A soft yes.
Yeah, because you did that and everybody was like, well, Pap gave it a yes. I have to give it a yes.
Think how much you could
And,
be
like,
feeding
Josh-
your kid now, Stevie.
I know, and Josh and Brett were just like, well, I should give it a yes, too.
I gave it the first yes.
Unlike Stellan Skarsgård, I'm not an arrogant ass. I will admit when I am wrong. I am sorry.
Stevie, I gave it
Right.
the first yes. I gave it a yes. You gave it a no. And then Pap.
I can't tell you how concerned I am for my long-term memory, though. This is very concerning because
I can't tell you how concerned I am. You
100%
gave that
sure.
movie a yes.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. We can get back to spoilers.
That was spoilers.